Hello everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to Adventures in Metaphysics. Now, today I have for you my March of 2022 favorites and excitements, I'm gonna call them. I always hesitate to just use favorites because I feel like I have some things that I just want to show because they were exciting for the month of March, not necessarily a favorite per se. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I feel like I have some things that are a little bit too new to say they're a favorite, but they just were really exciting this month. I hope that makes some sense. Anyhow, I'm just gonna get right into it because I've got quite a bit to talk about today, so settle in, this could be a long one. So my favorite book of the month, it's not a new one to me this month, but it came in very handy, and it is, I don't have the physical copy with me because I forgot to bring it from work. So I have a picture. It's called Mason Jar Science by Jonathan Adolph. 40 slimy, squishy, super cool experiments. So this is a book that is one of Rachel and I's favorite at the library. We do a special program called Science Thursdays, where every Thursday we do a different science-based activity. And this is a book that we use all of the time. It's basically filled with all these experiments that you can do in a mason jar or some other kind of container. So they tend to be simple, using stuff at home, and just easy to do, easy to explain. So we just love this book so much. It's one that anytime it's on the shelf, we notice it immediately, and whoever comes in next, we're recommending it to because it's so much fun. It has these really, really cool science experiments. I think my favorite one is, my favorite one that we've done so far anyway is, there was a volcano in a mason jar. That one was super, super cool. So you had vinegar with food coloring, and you put baking soda in, and it erupted like a volcano, but all in a jar. And so it was really cool because it was simple. I had all this stuff at home, and it was just a lot of fun. So this book comes in really handy. Oh, what was I saying? I was saying something before. Oh, so we recommend this one every time it's back on a shelf, so we almost never have the copy in the library. So what made me think of it this month is that I bought us a second copy just to keep in the office for like our personal science experiment use. So that way we could continue to keep giving everyone else this book who comes into the library, but have one to reference for ourselves. So if you enjoy playing around with science, have a little one at home, or not, I love doing these myself, this book is really fantastic, and it's Mason Jar Science. So that's my only book favorite of the month, and that one's definitely a favorite. So I think next we're going to do, I've got two food items. My first one is that it's Girl Scout Cookie Month. The most wonderful time of the year. So one of our co-workers has a granddaughter who is in the Girl Scouts and sells cookies, but I have always loved almost all of the Girl Scout cookies. I grew up in the Girl Scouts, so I grew up selling these myself. So this time of year, we've always had just an abundance of Girl Scout cookies, but my favorite are the Thin Mints, of course. I feel like this is such a popular one because they're so good. I love this time of the year. Every time that order form comes around, it's so exciting. So that is a favorite. And my other food one is that I found the Hershey's chocolate Easter bunnies. These are the ones that I used to always get growing up because I am a huge chocolate person, but I tend to be a bit of a chocolate snob, but in the sense where I really only want the Hershey's chocolate. That's just, it's what I'm used to, it's what I like. And so we used to always get these bunnies. That's what our parents would get us. And for the past few years, I feel like I've just not been able to find them. So I've gotten and enjoyed others, of course, because I have to get a chocolate bunny for myself. Duh. But this year, I was telling anyone and everyone who would listen, or who were just sitting near me, that I was on the hunt for these Hershey's Easter bunnies and that I hadn't seen them in years. And then I got a text from our friend Jen, who also works at the library, saying that she spotted them in Walgreens. So I got my butt over there so fast and bought like 2 or 3 of them, and I've already been back to get more because they're only for a limited time. So I have to. But this is my second food favorite, and if you haven't tried one of these, you have to get them. It's so good. They're solid, so they're not the hollow bunnies, which I think the solid is better, but personal preference. You have to get the Hershey's ones. Next, I think I'm gonna do they're kind of just random homeware finds, I guess you could say. I don't have a thrift store favorite this month because I don't actually think I've been all of March, which seems crazy. But anyhow, my first one isn't expensive as well, so I guess we can kind of count it, just not secondhand. And I found this in the Target dollar section, which is just the most wonderful aisle. And it is this little gnome. How cute is he? I was so excited to see this guy, and for $1. I don't know if you're supposed to kind of color him in, or I'm just leaving him as is, but oh my gosh, I had to get him. He's a little gnome. I am a big gnome person. I have one that goes outside, but I want to get a few more now that we have more garden space here. But he is definitely an exciting thing of this month that I kind of randomly found him in the Target dollar section. Amazing. My other home favorite is a early birthday gift from Paul, so very early because my birthday is actually the last day of this month. But hey, neither of us are very good at keeping surprises, so if we order birthday presents early, we give them to each other right when they come in, which is, it's a bad habit, but at least it's mutual. But he ordered me this pillowcase cover from one of my favorite artists, Wendy Andrew, and she is actually the creator of the Goddess Love and Goddess Dream oracles. If you've seen those, I love her artwork, and I saw this on her website and just fell in love with it because it is a fox and a badger hugging. I mean, are you kidding? Oh, I forget what the image was called too. It was something about friendship. I can't quite remember, but is that just not the cutest thing you've ever seen? So I have this sitting right on the chair that's next to my little tarot desk here, and it just brings me so much joy. I never thought I would be one to enjoy throw pillows or anything like that, but I mean, this was right up my alley. I sent this to my sisters when it came in. My older sister immediately was like, that is the most you present I've ever seen. And she is so right. So those are my 2 kind of random home favorites of this month. All right, I've got 2 more kind of more randomy favorites. I wasn't sure what category to put them in, so we're just gonna stick them together, and then we will get into the more tarot-y sort of things. But anyway, my first is that this month I got a trail cam. And this is just the most fun I think I've ever had. If you follow us on Instagram, you've probably seen pictures of my 3 possums that I get. They are Pam, Pete, and Pasquale. If I can figure out how to do it, I will insert a picture somehow. But no promises because I've not tried to figure that out before. But you can also see our Instagram, and I post them on our stories a lot when I get pictures on here. But the story behind this is that all winter long I saw footprints going in and out from this space we kind of have underneath our house. So I knew something was sleeping under there, and I was a little bit worried that it was a stray cat. So I wanted to figure out a way to find out exactly what it was. And I started leaving food, and it was getting eaten every night. So I was like, all right, something is definitely coming back here. And our friend Jen had the fantastic idea of setting up a trail cam, which I got right on Amazon, I think for maybe like $20-25. So it wasn't too expensive. And it has night vision. So what it does is when it detects any sort of motion, it just starts snapping pictures. So I put it out, and the first night I was so sad because I didn't think I had gotten any pictures. I thought I kind of messed it up because I was scrolling through the first few and it was just of like my face. trying to set it up the right way, and then all of a sudden I got this close-up picture of a possum's head. He was like sniffing the camera or something, so it was like one where it was like right here. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. So it wasn't a stray cat, which I was glad about because, you know, that just would have made me sad, and I cannot bring other cats inside because Stevie is very nice to any human. She's even okay with dogs. Other cats, feral. She goes absolutely feral, so that I knew that wouldn't be an option, so I was kind of nervous about it. Anyhow, it's a possum, and so I've been putting it out every night. I've been leaving them food, and I have 3 now. It's just the most exciting thing, and everyone at work loves seeing the pictures, and it's just been a lot of fun. So my other random is that I got this new crystal from a store called Little Shop of, oh my gosh, I don't want to mess it up, Light and Love. Little Shop of Light and Love. The store owner's name is Erin, and she does live crystal sales on her Instagram every Thursday night, and they're so much fun. She pulls cards for anyone who wants them for free, so you can just come and hang out. You don't have to, you know, buy anything, but she will show off kind of the new crystals she has in. And so her Instagram is Little Shop of Light and Love, but I will link it down below. And the last one I went to was a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, and she had these crystal keys. So I got a little amethyst crystal key, which is a shape I've never seen before. I just thought it was so unique, and amethyst was a crystal I was looking for because I actually don't think, I might have one really tiny tumble, but other than that I don't have any amethyst, and so I knew it was one I wanted. And when she had this key version, I just thought it was so interesting. I think having crystals in certain shapes is really good for certain intentions. I don't actually have any other crystal, I think, besides some 2 spheres. I don't have any, you know, purposeful shapes. But I thought the key idea was really interesting because you could sort of look at it as unlocking certain intentions or locking back up. And I thought this specific amethyst key would be really cool for if I was trying to sort of open myself up to messages or something like that, using this as a stand-in for thinking of literally, you know, unlocking myself and then locking myself back up to sort of shut off that energy. So I thought that was a really cool, and this is an exciting find for this month. Okay, these next favorites are tarot related, but then I promise we will get into the decks. So I have a few new bags that I got in to hold my tarot decks to show you. And while I love making bags for myself, I have crocheted bags that I make for my decks and that I sell on my Etsy store, Crochet Witch Wears, which I will also link down below. And I love making those for myself and matching the colors, but I don't know how to explain it, but I had a few decks where it didn't feel right. It almost felt like they didn't want a crocheted bag, and I don't know if that sounds totally insane, but I have no way else to explain it. So, the first bag I want to show is made by Moonlit Faye, which if you haven't checked out her shop, she makes the most beautiful bags, and they're super great quality. So I picked up the special collaboration with Kara Simons and Amy Putney Koenig for the Prairie Majesty Oracle. So this fabric was designed, I believe, by Amy, who is the artist behind the deck, and Moonlit Faye made it into these beautiful clutch style bags that perfectly fit the deck. So it's got this nice green pattern on the outside and the pink on the inside, which matches up with the deck box, which is really cool. But this is such a special deck to me that, I don't know, for some reason putting it in a crocheted bag, I just felt like, because the deck was so special, making something myself didn't feel right. I don't know how. I realize that doesn't make any sense because you'd think it'd be more special, which that is usually how I feel. I love making bags for myself, and almost all of my other decks have a bag crocheted by me, but again, I just had these few where it just seemed like that's not what they wanted. I kind of wanted one of her bags, they're really padded, which I like, and plus it was a purposeful collaboration. So something about it just really felt right to have for this deck. And so I'm loving these bags. Now the other ones I have are for the 2 other decks I had that, again, I just didn't feel like it was gonna work to make a crochet bag. Not that it wouldn't work, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. I hope it doesn't seem like I'm like hating on my own bags or saying they're not special, because usually that's my favorite part of sort of a deck bonding process, is making a bag for it. But these ones just seemed like they needed something else. I guess that's the only way I can explain it. Anyways, so these are made by Cosmic Eye Tarot, I believe is their username, and it's their Etsy shop name. But these are these nice zippered pouches, almost made out of this like vintage tapestry material. They're so beautiful, and they've got these tassel zippers, which are super nice. So I got these to store. This one has my Majestic Earth Tarot in it, so you can see the match. Isn't that so good? Oh, so good. I think that was the other thing, is these decks just also had really interesting color combinations that I just felt like I wasn't finding the right yarn color for it. I think that's more what it was, that I just, nothing that I was finding color-wise seemed to be fitting. So when I found these and saw them, I knew exactly what I was going to put in them, and just, it felt right. So that is for my Majestic Earth Tarot, and then this other one holds my Victorian Fairy Tarot, which I just felt like this fabric felt so kind of vintage Victoria era, again, like tapestry or like couch almost, but in a good way. So that's that match. And they are so beautiful. They're lined with this silk material, and I love this zipper. These are also decks I really like taking with me, so I liked having the zipper on them to keep them really closed in case I wanted to put them in a bag where I also had like food or something like that, because the crocheted bags do keep things really secure and they close up nicely, but you know, it's crochet, so it's gonna have those few bit of gaps, and I tend to have crumbs in my bag. So when I carried these around, I think because these are my 2 decks that I have that are out of print, so they'd be hard to find again. So I just like having these really kind of sturdy bags to be able to like take them places. So those were my tarot bag finds of this month. Okay, now we will move on to my favorite decks that I've been using this month. So the first one I'm gonna show, we'll start with this one. This is the Old Ways Magic Oracle. And this is a new one I got at the beginning of the month, and it has just completely taken over. It is such a beautiful oracle deck. It pulls on sort of Celtic imagery and just these really beautiful naturescapes, and the keywords are fantastic. It feels almost like you're holding these kind of mini paintings too, there's just so much detail, and the size of the cards makes it so easy to see. They're not too big though, they're easy to handle, but I saw this one on Facebook, and I wish I could remember specifically who posted it, because I'd want to thank them, because this has just been the best add in a while to my little tarot library. It goes with so many of my other decks. Oh, it's just so good. But it's one that I saw and kind of clicked by right away, because I knew it was going to work. I knew I was going to like it. It's got a fantastic guidebook. I couldn't recommend this one enough. This is by Naomi Cornock, and she sells it on her website, which I will link below. I'll link where to find all of these decks, but this is the Old Ways Magic Oracle, and it is just, it's such a unique one. I think this is one really anyone could like. My next one, is the Soul Cats Tarot, which I did a unboxing and first impressions of, and I am so impressed by this deck. I was on the hunt for a cat deck that I could use for readings for myself. I actually only have one other cat tarot, and it is the cat tarot. But that is Stevie. Stevie's my cat. That's her deck through and through. I pretty much only do readings for her with that one, and she will choose her own cards sometimes, which is so cute. She'll kind of, I'll fan them out and she'll step on the cards and kind of push them out. It's very interesting. But this one I feel like is the perfect blend between showing realistic everyday cats while adding this magical, mystical element into it. And I think it's that little bit of separation from the real world that makes it easy for me to connect to. It doesn't feel like it's meant to be speaking directly about cats, if that makes any sense. And actually, the guidebook for this is definitely another favorite from this month. It's the first one I've ever read cover to cover, and it's Lisa Robertson who writes it, and it's just fantastic. There were so many meanings that I read that added whole new layers to my own understandings. It's one that I've been referring to for readings with other decks. It's fantastic. I couldn't recommend it enough. So this is the Soul Cats Tarot. I almost forgot for a second. All right, my next one is the Tsurai Beeto Tarot. And this is one I had kind of been looking at for a while, but also, aren't these black butterflies so good? I was so excited about them. I feel like they match the moths on the backs of the cards really well. Anyway, this was one I was looking at for a while because I've heard so many people talking about it, and I don't know, I think because it showcases more modern people. That's not something I usually connect to. I really don't have any other deck that shows modern people and is like a really like people-y feeling deck. Usually I lean more towards like mystical and definitely animal. That's a huge draw for me. I typically want things that have animals, and this does not. So I still really liked the artwork, but just kind of went back and forth on it. And then they came out with the linen edition, which of course makes it a little bit more affordable. So I figured, why not? Plus I love linen cardstock anyway. So there was really no drawbacks, and I'm so glad I did. I really get the hype around this deck. The images, again, show more modern people, but something about the art style makes it not too affronting to me, someone who doesn't really usually enjoy that. It gives such clear readings. I find it's one that most people like and can connect to if I'm, reading for anyone else. I also really love the size of this one. It makes it really easy to take with me and carry around with me. It does come in a tuck box, which is why I crocheted a little bag for it, just to keep it a little bit more protected when I was just sort of throwing it in my bag, but otherwise I've had, no issues. It's just such a good one. Oh, and I have to show. So the reason actually I finally kind of bit the bullet, I guess you could say, is I saw an image of the Nine of Cups card, which I just have to show it. Look at this Nine of Cups. Isn't that so beautiful? It just adds this whole other layer. I've always seen the Nine of Cups as this real, emotional fulfillment card and kind of having exactly what you need. But something about, I've just never thought of it in this way. It gives a message of you have everything you need inside yourself, but also the way she's kind of looking down and smiling at her own body in a way. Something about that, if you've ever, sort of dealt with any sort of body image issues, I think you will know exactly what I mean of when you get to feel this, it's I don't know. I can't even speak. I'm trying to not, get emotional, but this card really changed my perception of that in the best way. It's kind of one of those things of, it gave me something that I really needed to see in sort of that kind of healing journey, I guess you could say, which has been really big for me for a really long time. And just seeing that of, when you get to a place, even if it's just, you know, sometimes it's even just for a day, or if it's a week, or it's more long term, when you get to this place of looking at yourself like that and having this warm feeling kind of radiating right from that heart space, it's so special. And anyways, so this is the Tsurai Beeto Tarot, and it's definitely been such a favorite for this month, and I'm sure for many months to come after that. So my last tarot favorite I have to show is the Carnival at the End of the World Tarot. Now this is another one. It's been on my list for a very long time, and I just kind of kept going back and forth on it. Wasn't sure if I was gonna connect, kind of thing. But I connected to this deck so quickly. It's weird, it's wacky, it's funny, and it's just really different. And I think that's what made me be a little bit apprehensive about it at first. I thought it could be hard because it does go in its own direction a bit, but I think the fact that it does that is actually what makes it really easy for me. The pictures are simple, but you do get a lot out of it. Like this Queen of Cups, I think it's so interesting that she's in this really frozen landscape, and she's holding out this teacup that has this huge chunk of ice in it, which I think is such an interesting way to look at the Queen of Cups. I see this card as tending to our own emotions and being able to almost look at them critically, if that makes sense. Being able to separate yourself out enough that you can see your feelings for what they are. And I think that's such an interesting way to look at the Queen of Cups. But this has been so much fun to work with, so much fun to dig into. The guidebook is amazing. You do have to get that separate, but they sell it in a bundle now. And actually, if you are in the US, it is free shipping, which was nice if you did that bundle. Which I definitely think for this deck, the guidebook is a little necessary just because there's extra cards, and again, it does go in its own direction a bit. But I've been really loving working with this deck, and that is the Carnival at the End of the World Tarot. Before I move on to the decks I'm excited to start working with for this next month, April, I had to show another favorite because I completely forgot about this, but I did my first ever deck mod. I was so nervous, but I really like how it came out, and so I wanted to show. So this is the Tarot of the Gnomes put out by Lo Scarabeo, and typically it has these really thick white borders, as those decks tend to, but usually they have the name of the card in different languages on the bottom. This one had keywords, and I found them to be a little distracting. So while I loved the card images, I wasn't using the deck much because of those keywords, and the borders were a little distracting, so I almost rehomed it. And then I just was thinking, you know, what's the harm in just trying? If I totally mess it up, I'm out, you know, maybe $15, probably less, you know, if I was gonna rehome it. So I just figured, what the heck, we're gonna try it. So I cut off all the borders so that now I just have the images, but the cards are very clear as to what they are. And then I got a corner rounder, and I rounded the corners, which was so fun. Doing that like action, it was almost like hole punching. It was so much fun. But I love how this came out. It just really obviously emphasizes the images, which is what I loved about this deck and why I got it in the first place. I mean, look at that fool. How cute. Am I focused on the cards? I think so. But I find I've been using it way more. It just is a bit more usable for me because I'm not getting distracted. I just have the images, which I love. And it turned it into this really nice kind of mini, almost pocket size, which I think is so fun. And it didn't even, it didn't mess with the backs. So I just cut off the borders. I went right to the edges of the picture, and that's kind of what worked. So this was my first deck mod, and I'm very excited about it. And it's the Tarot of the Gnomes. All right, now we are going to get into the decks I'm excited to work with this month. So these are decks that I kind of got in more towards the end of the month, so I've not had a chance to really use yet. So I one that came in Friday, I think. This is one that I bought for myself, and it is the, let me get this huge box. It is the Goliath Tarot. I'm really excited about this one. The cards are a bit big, so I'm gonna have to split it to show, but it is a black and white animal deck that adds in these real kind of mystical shaman type elements, and it's so beautiful. We also get these little, I wouldn't say they're keywords, almost titles, that they're all really interesting, and this artwork is just so evocative. You get such emotion from it, which is what I really enjoy. I like having something that uses animals. That's kind of my comfort zone, is animal decks, but in a way that really still gets those emotions across, which I think is not an easy feat, and I think this deck does a fantastic job. And I love the extra kind of oracle cards that comes with it. I'm so excited to get to use this one more. It just is so cool. I'm so excited about it. I've not decided the best way, I think, to use it yet. It feels like it could kind of be a shadow worky kind of deck, but I think I'm just gonna throw it in for general use and see what happens, see kind of what I feel from it. But this is the Goliath Tarot, and it comes with a fantastic guidebook as well. I mean, look at the size of this. And it flips up this way, which I think is really interesting, but you get the full, oop, let's get to an actual card page. No? Yes, you get the full images right here, and like almost a 2-page write-up. Really good. So the next few I have are, not trades really, but Rachel and I, when we sort of are going through our tarot decks and have some that we want to rehome, we always tend to go to each other first with whatever decks they are, because I don't know, this is something we've always done. We've always traded around our decks, which is super fun. So I went into work on Thursday to a pretty big stack of decks waiting for me on my desk to get to look through and choose what I wanted to try, and it was so exciting. Those are the best days. So the next few are ones from her that I am now just getting to try. So the first one is the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle. The other fun thing about trading around decks in this way is that we have very different taste in decks usually, not always, but typically. So I get to try ones that I honestly probably would not have bought for myself, and then a lot of them I end up really, really enjoying. So this is created by Amanda Lovelace, which I believe she is also a writer. I think that's what Rachel told me, but I'm not super familiar. But this is not something I typically would ever choose. Again, it's got these really modern looking people in it, which I think is fantastic. And I think if I were reading more for other people, I think I would seek something like this out a lot more. But for myself, this, having modern looking people is not what I tend to connect to. But I think I might be wrong, because I love this. The Tsurai Beeto is great. I'm gonna have to try these two together. That could be really good. But I love the keywords on this, and that we get an extra little sentence plus the guidebook. I really only just flipped through it so far, but I really think I'm gonna like it, which is surprising to me. So that is the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle. The next one is one of these cute little rectangle decks put out by Rockpool, and it is the Forest Fae Deck. And these next two, I actually have been like really on the fence about purchasing, so I'm so excited to see these. This is one that goes vertical, but I think what is nice about this one and what drew me to this one is that we do have different images on here instead of just words. I have the, oh, I can't think of what the name is. It's the woodland one. Oh, the name is gone. But it's the woodland one, and it just has the word and like the little sentence underneath, which is fine. I really like that deck. But I've never been tempted to get another one of these because I feel like it would have felt a bit samey. But this one, I didn't realize, has its own pictures, which is so fun. I'm so excited to use this. Now that we're getting to the springtime, I find myself much more interested in leaning into that Fae energy. A lot of the decks I've been looking at or purchasing have been centered around fairies. Oh my gosh, I just blanked out there for a minute. But what I have coming in that I don't have it yet, but I am excited to use in April is the Hush Tarot. And I feel like these could pair super well together, which I'm really excited about. And they're just so cute. I love this art style. I'm really excited to try this one out. Okay, the last one I think might have been the most exciting because I seriously, like days beforehand, had it in my hands at Barnes & Noble and almost bought it. And it is the Angels and Ancestors cards. And again, it's showing the people. Usually I think I can't do people, and that's why I put it back on the shelf. But I was wrong. I already love this one. This one is just, oh, it's so interesting and cool, and I already just can think of so many ways I'd want to use this one. So we have different sets of cards, I guess you can say. We've got the angels, but there's also sort of these guide cards. You know what? I can tell you exactly. Let's just look at the guidebook instead of me trying to guess. We have the sacred ones, guardians and messengers, warrior symbol. So, okay, yeah, so this one, oh no, that's a, then we also have seasons. So like this is a seasons card. I think this is a guardian. That's a sacred one. Oh no, that's a guardian, it says it on the card. But, and then, so then we have symbols. I think this is a sacred one. It's just, it's interesting, and I'm really excited to dig more into this deck. And I don't know, it's one that I was really apprehensive about, but now that I have it in my hands and I've been able to see it, I really know I'm going to love it. And it's just really unique from anything else I have. Which I'm excited that the set of decks that I got from Rachel were all Oracle cards, because I've got a lot of tarot decks, but not so many Oracle decks. And I feel like the ones that I've shown this month match with a lot of my tarot decks, which is very exciting. So this is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. All right, I hope you all enjoyed seeing my exciting finds of the month and just exciting things. Hopefully this wasn't too long. I know I can tend to kind of ramble a bit, but I had a lot of fun showing you all of these things and just pulling them all out. I've got a big mess now, but hey, it is what it is. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful month full of more favorites.